Welcome to the Epcotian Adventure,
a podcast where we'll talk about all things Disney,
including tips and tricks, festivals and favorites, and the very latest in news and reviews.
But we're still old enough to remember when the future began, October 1st, 1982.
This is episode 18, a new feature, This or That, creating a perfect day at Epcot.
Or Canada or Mexico, Skyliner or Monorail, Space 220 or Monsieur Paul's. You are about to find out.
So now, please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast as we embark on our Epcotian adventure. Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 18 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And today we're starting a brand new feature called This or That. This is going to be driven by Sue, mostly. I am going into this a little bit blind, actually.
Wahaha.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. We're going to be actually telling you we would plan a perfect day at Epcot based on suggestions that Sue gives.
So this is like you've seen on other sites where they do a this or that game where you have two options and you have to choose this or that. And we're going to use that as a tool or game to create what we would do as a perfect day at Epcot. Now, it probably won't turn into an absolutely perfect day because some of the options Rod might not like so much.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see the choices I'm given. I'm not allowed to go outside the box on this, so this is going to be literally an A or a B choice that Sue gives me. So
that's right. If I give you A and B, you cannot pick blue. That's not how it goes.
I like blue.
I know you.
Bear in the Big Blue House, Blue's Clues.
Wow, we're old.
We are old, aren't we? Yeah, Bluey, that's the new one.
That is a new one.
Yeah, our nieces love
good.
Bluey.
Our great nieces.
When I was a kid, it would have been Cub Bluey, like the Roadrunner and the...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the Wile E. Coyote. I'm old. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive right in. So, Sue, what are the ground rules?
Here's the premise. So I'm going to start you off by saying we have one single day at Epcot, which we tend to do for ourselves. So this is a realistic situation.
And you said we had park hoppers, though,
and we
so
do have park
might
hoppers.
have that option later. Okay,
yes.
Good. I like that idea. Okay.
We are staying on property.
Okay.
And we are staying at Pop Century.
Okay.
Okay? So that is the premise.
I just realized if this was Dungeons & Dragons, you'd be the Dungeon Master right now.
Is that a thing?
It still is.
That's fun.
That's weird.
I like that.
Okay. Let's do this.
Okay. So to start off our day then, I'm going to go way back to the beginning of the day now. And we're at Pop Century. We're getting ready to go. Are we having breakfast on the go or are we sitting down for breakfast? This is our first choice.
I think based on what we've done in the past, we found it better to sleep in as late as possible and grab and go breakfast. And to be honest, this is just a critique of the food at Pop Century. It has not gotten any better with age.
No.
It is not a fine wine. It has actually, it seems, gotten more expensive and quality has gone down.
It's true. We were talking about this the other day, how we used to cut a day short at the park to come back to eat at Art of Animation because the food was so good. There were so many options and there were really good price.
Yeah, it was just creative. It was creative cuisine. Even if we were staying at Pop Century, we'd go across the bridge and eat at Art of Animation for dinner.
Exactly.
When it comes to breakfast at most of the resorts that have the kind of grab and go or food court type of food options, generally all the same, it seems like. But in this case, the last couple times we've done the sit-down food options at Pop Century or Art of Animation, they've been... Disappointing, yeah. So I would say let's grab a yogurt with the fruit on top and maybe a banana and head out the door.
Perfect. I love it. All right, let's get this day going. So, choice number 2. From Pop Century, we have an option. Are we going to take a bus or are we going to take a Skyliner?
And we're going to Epcot.
We're going to Epcot.
Yeah, I have to say Skyliner. The Disney buses are efficient and they're a good option for most resorts. But from Pop Century, Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach, Riviera, I'm going to suggest, in this case, since we're Pop, we're flying the friendly skies of the Skyliner. With a stop to get Joffrey's on the way in, because you have to get off and change anyway.
So at Caribbean Beach, we're going to hop off.
And get a Joffrey's.
And
then
Joffrey's.
hop back
Okay.
on the line to Epcot.
That wasn't a question, but we shall allow it.
Okay. Thank you.
Because in the end, it gets us Joffrey's.
Well, exactly.
So,
We get a shaky Jamaica for the trip.
Yes. Which, again, Disney, if you're listening, there needs to be a Joffrey's right there at the Skyliner entrance.
At Pop.
At
yeah.
Pop.
Pop and Art needs a restaurant,
Yep.
it needs a grab and go, and it needs a Joffrey's.
We've
right
already
there
done a whole
between the two
episode
bridges.
about that, so I won't go into it, but it needs to be a thing.
Yeah.
So, because that's not a thing, we're taking the Skyliner to Epcot, and we're hopping off at Caribbean Beach, grabbing Joffrey's, and hopping right back on the Skyliner.
Yep.
So once we get there, that's going to drop us off at International Gateway. Now, the classic choice for Epcot is, are you Team Mexico or Team Canada? But because we're taking the Skyliner, our new choice is going to be, are we going to France or are we going to the UK?
Well, since I didn't have a lot of breakfast and I'm going to get very protein deficient, which makes me hangry, I'm going to say let's head to the right and go to France because I want to stop at the boulangerie or whatever.
Very nice.
Did I say that correctly? Hey. And get either a breakfast sandwich or a croissant, maybe some more coffee. But
definitely more coffee.
if I'm coming in International Gateway before noonish, I want to grab some food over there. Now, again, if we're there doing a festival, I might be Team UK if there's some beer, cheese, and a bread bowl towards Canada. But for this day that we're talking about, I'm going to be Team France.
It just so happens we are going during a festival. Did we select to go during Flower and Garden, or did we select to go during Festival of the Holidays?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
I know.
Because both have very good options as far as food goes around the world. Actually, I think the food options seem to be a little better during Flower and Garden. So in this case, if we're talking about based on food, I'm going to say we went during Flower and Garden.
All right. Very nice.
Food and wine, of course, would be the normal choice, but it's in the heat of the summer, so no.
Sometimes we do hit the very end of food and wine.
We actually hit it at the very beginning last year, too. We hit it a couple times last year, but...
Yeah, but that was sort of a mistake. That was really, really hot.
It was really hot and sticky.
Because it starts in July.
Yeah, we're not probably going to do that again, but yeah, so food, I'm going to say for the food, and for that reason alone, it's going to be Flower and Garden.
All right. So, given that choice, are we still headed to France?
Oh, yeah, we're still headed to France.
Okay.
I want to get the boulangerie.
Boulangerie. Very nice. In France, we have gotten a little something for breakfast. Now, well, let's just start with, are we buying Genie Plus? Are we not buying Genie Plus?
If we're there during Flower and Garden, and it's a weekend...
Which, knowing us, it is.
It's probably a weekend. I'm going to still say buy Genie Plus. Now, again, that goes against what we said in an earlier episode where we said for Epcot, usually you don't need to buy Genie Plus. But for what we like to do as a trip, as far as our organizational skills with the trip, is to be using Genie Plus to get that 1 or 2 reservations alone that we would like to have for either Soarin' or for Frozen. And then in the later afternoon, we can actually use them and just kind of stack them one after the other for Living with the Land and Imagination and Nemo and Spaceship
or even
Earth,
for park hopping.
which we really don't need. But that is correct. If we're going to be there early, we may do a park hop later. So for that purpose alone, too, or that secondary purpose, I would say yes. In this case, we are getting Genie Plus.
Okay. So we did not get a boarding group for Guardians this morning.
Oh,
I
come
know.
on.
I know. So now, are we making the choice to buy an individual lightning lane for Guardians? Or are we skipping it?
See, here's the thing. I've been on Guardians before. You've been on Guardians before.
Yes.
I found that by keeping my head facing towards the motion of the train, not towards the way that the car is facing, because it does turn you towards a show scene, much like the Haunted Mansion, I keep my head towards the forward motion, I'm fine. I know you, when you wrote it, it made you feel floopy.
It did. My head was floopy for the rest of the day.
I'm going to suggest for saving time and being able to do maybe Tron later or something else, if after 1 p.m., I know you have to be in the park, so if we were to be lucky and get to Magic Kingdom after 2, they were still available. A lot of ifs.
Lot of ifs.
But because of the ifs, I'm going to say no. We do not get Guardians.
Okay, so we're not paying for
We're not paying for Guardians in this case. Now, again, if you've not been on Guardians, your answer should be yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
By all means. But for what we're talking about with this hypothetical situation, which actually sounds like it's mirroring one of our trips that we've done not too long ago, I would say not get Guardians because I've been on it before and I'm going to use that time for different purposes. My priorities are going to be different than you might be if you haven't been on it. So
right. So given that we are in France, do we want to go wait in a standby line for Remy's, which is probably around about an hour, maybe an hour 15 about now? Or do we want to bypass Remy's and try to get a lightning lane later?
For Remy's, I would shoot for the lightning lane because that's one that if you're not park hopping later in the day, you can generally fiddle-faddle a little bit and get the lightning lane. What I mean by that, of course, is, thank you, Molly, is for checking and rechecking over and over again the tip board where you can find the lightning lanes that are available for that moment or for the day. Remy's tends to sell out quickly, or not sell out, but runs out quicker than some of the others.
Because it's new.
Because it's new. Frozen does the same thing after a while. However, those get dropped later in the day, and a lot of times you can sit there, even if it says sold out or says 8 p.m. or something, you can just keep checking back, and you'll see one appear for an earlier time.
And if you are not aware, all you have to do is refresh your screen. So you don't have to go out and come back in. Just keep flipping it down until it refreshes. And an earlier time very, very often will pop up for what you're looking for.
And for me, Remy's is not high on my list. But again, if it's on your list, you might want to go ahead and spend the hour and go wait in line just to make sure that you get to ride it.
Yeah, again, if you haven't done it, it should be part of your day. But for us, for a perfect day, it's not necessarily going to be in there.
Yeah, exactly. And for that reason, then, for this answer, I would say we are going to try to get a lightning lane later.
Okay, fair. So, we've checked the app. We have seen that there is Voices of Liberty concert starting very, very soon. We have the option to run over there with whatever we just bought in France. Run over there and catch Voices of Liberty. Or we can take our time and stroll and stop in Mitsukoshi. Are we doing Voices of Liberty or Mitsukoshi?
See, here's the thing. We're cursed when it comes to seeing Voices of Liberty. Even if we're on time, for some reason, they're always on the last song. So, for that purpose, I'm going to say we're going to skedaddle. Actually, I'm going to have coffee, which means I can mosey.
That is true.
Yeah, that's a thank you, Paul. We're going to mosey on over to America and see Voices of Liberty now. I have become a person, if I've got it in my hand, I'm going to buy it kind of person now. I think the older I get. So if I have a guarantee of one or a chance for two, I'm going to take the guarantee of one. I would suck at Deal or No Deal. Your first deal is $900. Sold! We don't even know your name yet.
That's more than you came there with, so. And it's
Exactly.
guaranteed. Come on. Okay, fair. So we are going to go catch Voices of Liberty.
Yes.
So we just caught Voices of Liberty. We are all air-conditioned and relaxed. We had a little bit of breakfast, so now we're up to maybe 11sies. I'm not going to say lunch, but we're at 11sies. Do we want to go and try Regal Eagle barbecue at the American Pavilion? Or do we want to go around the world and take our chances at the Italy kiosk?
This is not even a real question. I'm sorry. We've been trying to get to Regal Eagle for a while, but by the time we get there, eating through the festivals, we are always full by the time we get to America, no matter which way we go. And Italy, if you like Italy, and maybe one of the people that even works at Italy, I'm sorry. Italy's festival booth sucks. It is always horrible.
It is infamously bad.
Do not know why, and I've tried it year after year after year, hoping it gets better, and it never does.
It's really interesting because there's always things that it has on the menu that sound good.
Yeah, the raviolis.
That sound foolproof.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You think, this one's going to do it. This is going to redo their reputation. And every time it's dry or it's gummy or it's soaked in sauce or there's no sauce or
no flavor.
No flavor.
Those raviolis we had that one year were just
full of ingredients that has no flavor. I don't know how they do this. So, but the point of the question being, are we sitting down to a meal While there's a festival.
If this was at the time period we're talking about, so we started in France, had some brekkies, and then headed to the festival booths later, so in other words, past Italy, and continued around, it's definitely going to be Regal Eagle. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to get a full meal there. I mean, you just said Regal Eagle or that, but we would get the
that is true. That's
mac
fair.
And cheese with the pulled pork. We would get anything we can put sauce on because the sauces look amazing.
Which is literally anything.
Yeah,
I'll
pretty much
put the sauce
shoe.
on a napkin.
Yeah,
so.
that's pretty much, yeah.
Okay, that's fair. So we are now mildly full, and we're headed still around the world. So we've just passed the boat, which docks back between like Morocco and Japan. So we're just one country past that. Are we going to take the boat across and go hit some future worlding, or do we want to continue around the world at World Showcase?
That's a really good question. Early in the day, I think I would still say let's hoof it, because I like the boat option when my feet hurt. And if we just came in, we've just done some food, sat down already in the AC for a little bit, my suggestion is before noon, let's go ahead and hoof it around, because I love walking all the way around. It's a quest, basically, for me to be able to walk around the showcase at least once. If we take the boat at this point, we ain't getting back over the other side. We're not coming back towards America at all, I guarantee it. So my suggestion or my choice would be head on towards Germany and Italy and head on around.
Nice. That would be my choice as well. So I think we're on the same page here. So we're going to continue going on. We go into Germany. We take a little bit of time and look at the mini village by the train and see their festival set up, which is always one of my favorite things to do. And we come to Norway. So in Norway, we see that the standby line is around 35 minutes for Frozen, which is very, very good for this time of day. Do we want to stand in a 35-minute line, or we check the app and there is a lightning lane for 1:30 this afternoon, which is in about an hour from now. Do we want to do something and come back, or do we want to take advantage of the short standby?
We're going to take a lightning lane, because again, I am all about having the known quantity in hand rather than the chance. And a 35-minute sign at Frozen does not always mean a 35-minute wait at Frozen. It's hard to tell. It depends on how many people actually have purchased lightning lanes, how many people are actually there for their lightning lane, or did the attraction break down earlier that we didn't know about, and so the lightning lane line is actually longer than normal, and that is a very common occurrence at Frozen. I would say we're getting a lightning lane, and we're headed towards Mexico.
Very nice. Okay, so we have a lightning lane, which means we are going to have to backtrack later. But for now, we are cruising on through Mexico. Are we going to stop and get street corn? Or are we going to stop and ride the Grand Fiesta?
We're going to ride Grand Fiesta, and then we're going to get street corn.
That is not the game.
Dang it. You're making this hard. Well, okay, we just ate at America at the place that is about all foods, but mostly barbecue. So I'm going to say everything there is heavy, which means we're going to wait on street corn, and we're going to go into Mexico, and we're going to ride the attraction.
All right, Grand Fiesta.
Grand Fiesta tour. Yeah, most likely at that time of day, it's probably going to be 15 minutes or so.
And again, air conditioning.
Yes.
Because Mexico is all indoors.
Yeah, and then later, when we're coming back to go on Frozen, we can get corn.
You don't get to decide that.
Dang it. I'm going to get that street corn eventually.
It is a perfect day at Epcot, so street corn will have to be in our future.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so Mexico is the end of World Showcase on this side. Are we going to continue into Future World, or are we going to shop at the little stores right there at the entrance of World Showcase?
Well, if you're giving me the opportunity to shop, I'm going to take the attractions all day long. I'm sorry. I'm not surprised. A shopper. I mean, yes, we'll probably come back and look at those because there's always some good stuff in there. In this case, though, I think let's head over towards Future World. Or, I'm sorry, not Future World anymore.
It's always Future World. I know it's not, but for our purposes here, it is because we don't know where we're going yet.
Well, that's true. We're going into what's left of Future World.
Okay. All right, so heading into Future World. So are we going to choice A, head left and go do Imagination with Figment? Or are we going to head right and maybe check out one of the kiosks on the side?
Yeah,
Story.
You got me with that. I'm going to have to, as much as I love doing the attractions, I think we're going to stop and look at the options at the Odyssey and that side of World Discovery and see what the festival booths have, because the last couple times those have been really spectacular.
That is so true. There's been something noteworthy at both of those spots.
Yeah,
so
Brunchcott was there.
Brunchcott
with that,
was right outside
oh
Test
my gosh,
Track.
The
Benedict.
The Benedict with the locks.
Brunch,
It was
yeah.
so good. And then the Bison that we talked about.
Oh, yes. That was over
also
there,
right
too.
there. So, yeah. We're
And then
eating
inside
again.
the Odyssey was the...
Oh, the wings.
No. The tempura shrimp with
And
the
the
orange
tempura
sesame.
shrimp, yes. The wings, like, from 2 festivals back,
yeah.
though.
Oh,
But,
you're
yeah,
right.
the shrimp was fantastic in the last festival.
So good. So, I approve of this choice.
Well, thank you.
So, we've gotten a little snack at a kiosk. We have rated it probably 5 out of 5 Not a Golf Balls. So, now we are going to A, single rider test track, since we're right there. Or B, we're going to head across and do Nemo and Friends.
Oh, okay. So either Test Track or Nemo. I like Test Track. I don't like riding with all the people I don't know. So, yeah, single rider is a good option there because it's 3 and 3. So there's actually a good chance that per vehicle, at least one single rider is going to get placed in.
Yes. You know what? We're going to stop right there for a second and do a little pro tip. There are single rider options throughout all the parks on various attractions, but the key is to know what the vehicle is. So, A, don't do a single rider if it's your first time riding.
Yes.
Just don't ride it with your friends and family.
You want to see the entire queue. That's part of the show at Disney.
Yes. But Test Track is ideal for single rider because it is 3 and 3. So you have 2 rows of 3 in a single car, which means that your chances of getting on as a single rider are so much faster than a ride that is 2 and 2 or 4 and 4.
Or, fun fact, do not ever, ever, ever do single rider at Soarin'. The most that they're going to put on is maybe 1 per row. And so with 9 rows, there's only 9 single riders per cycle per theater that are going to maybe get chosen. And that's, again, that's a maybe. Whereas Test Track, the chances of getting on that vehicle every few seconds is pretty good.
The other one that I recommend avoiding a single rider is Everest and also Rock and Roller Coaster. Again, that's because they're 2 and 2. So you're having to join an odd number party, which is less likely than an even number party.
So Remy's is another good one for that.
Yes. So again, just know the vehicle before you think, oh, single rider's going to be so much faster. That's not always the case. So there's your little pro tip for the day.
The more you know. Knowledge is power.
Okay, so moving on. So we're going to head across and we're going to go ahead and go over to Nemo and Friends.
Yes.
So we ride Nemo and Friends. We find Nemo. Yay!
Hey, Mr. Ray, Nemo's not here. Oh, that's okay. He'll catch up. Well, that's a bad teacher. I don't know.
Teacher.
Who let this guy teach kids? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
weird.
That's not advisable. So if you're a teacher, don't do that.
Don't be Mr. Ray.
But it's okay. We found him.
That's true, yes. Yeah.
So,
He was talking to Crush. Who knew?
well, he had a lightning lane for that.
Well, that's true.
It's
Yeah.
okay. Okay, so we did that. We looked in the cute little shop. We looked in the aquarium. We went up and said hi to the manatees. Now, we're headed into the land.
I love land.
This is one of our favorite pavilions. Nostalgia for a lot of it. Air conditioning for a lot of it.
Really good food at Seasons.
We love the food at Seasons. It gets a bad rep sometimes, and I don't know why.
Because it's kind of like a grab and go. It's almost like the same thing we were just talking about with the food at Pop Century. However, the food at Seasons, they update that menu all the time.
It's very seasonal.
And I've actually found it is better quality than what you find at the resort hotels version of that kind of food location.
I agree. And it's one of those that has something for everyone. So if you have a large group, it's a great place to hit up for a lunch or a dinner.
Yeah.
And lots of seating. So those are both wins in my book. So we're headed into the land pavilion. Are we going to watch the movie
You mean Stuff to Be a Human?
Yeah. I can never remember what it's called. I think it's called Awesome Planet.
It was Symbiosis when it first opened years ago.
That's been a long time ago. So are we going to watch that because there's no line and it's starting right as we walk by? Or are we going to go downstairs and we're going to wait in a 35-minute queue for Soarin'?
Which means we didn't get a lightning lane for Soarin'.
We did not.
Which is a bummer because that's a good one to have a lightning lane for.
Yeah, but we have one for Frozen coming up, so we couldn't double dip.
Yeah, Soarin' is kind of like Frozen that you really don't know how long the queue is until you're in it. A lot of times that queue will say 50 minutes and it's 20 minutes, or it'll say 20 and it's 45 minutes. It's hard to gauge. Whereas like Living with the Land, you can tell it's 5 minutes per switchback. You know exactly how long the line's going to be. However, given the option of the Awesome Planet starting now or a 35-minute queue for Soarin', let's go hang gliding. I'm not one that likes to walk out of an attraction feeling depressed. So I'm going to say let's go stand in line for Soarin' because 35 minutes is right on the cusp for me. For me, 30 is the time when I will say, oh no, let's do it later. 35, I would give it a go. 35
is that's actually why I chose 35 because this time of day it's probably more like 60.
Well, and
but
if we
I knew
got
that
in the queue,
we would never wait in a 60-minute line, so to make it a little more tempting.
But like we were just talking about, if we got in the queue and it was 60, if we get in and we kind of hit that first corner and it's backed up all the way to there, we're probably going to turn around. Even though I just said we're going to ride Soarin', we might turn around and go back to Awesome Planet. We'll see. Or maybe to Seasons and get something to eat. Because, we haven't eaten in like 20 minutes.
Maybe. So, yes. Okay, so we are going to go hang gliding. So we do our hang gliding. It's now time for Frozen. We are way the heck on the other side of the park. So, are we going to hoof it back to Norway and go get our Frozen? Or are we going to bypass Frozen and try to get it later and go ahead and do Living with the Land?
I'm going to go back to what I said, and since I know we have Frozen now, I'm going to say we're going to walk back over to Frozen. In the short term, I might grab a Coke or something, though, from Seasons for the long journey across the lands. And knowing that we're going to end up back over there anyway to ride Spaceship Earth and Imagination, I'm going to say let's head back to Imagination and land later and go ahead and go back over towards Norway and do Frozen now since we have Lightning Lane.
Nice.
And again, it's just back. I'm at the age where if I know it's a guarantee, I'm going to go with it almost every time.
And we do know that we love that attraction.
Now, here's one thing, though, is new, is that it used to be you had to cancel your Fast Pass or your Lightning Lane and then try to find a new one. Now, you can actually have hit the Modify option and look to see if there's something a little later. So, that would be an option. Say, I know that's not an option right now in our scenario, but just so you know, if you're listening to this, modifying a Lightning Lane is now very easy, and then once you bring it back up on the app, you have the option to see if there is something maybe an hour later. And you're going to make somebody else very happy because you just opened a Lightning Lane right now.
Exactly, which is how that fiddle-faddling works.
Yeah. We
drop out to catch a later time, and suddenly that is open for now, and someone grabs it. So it's a win-win.
All right, so let's go get wet in Norway.
Woohoo! So we're going to go, and we're going to let it go. And
let it go. Oh, I'm not supposed to sing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, you're welcome to, but...
Can I do... Yoo-hoo? How about that? Because here, just so you know, we didn't mention this on the Wish.
Oh, I meant to mention this.
On the Wish. Let It Go is actually sung in the dinner show by Oaken and Kristoff. And
if you think you're sick of that song and you never want to hear it again, you have not heard this version.
Yeah, sorry, this is from the last 2 episodes where we talked about the Wish, but it's so much fun.
It is so fun. All right, so we ride Frozen. We look through the little shop where all the expensive fleeces and jackets
the perfume.
Are. And the perfume.
Oh, I gave some to Barbara years ago. And hi, Barbara, if you're listening.
So we do that. We leave Norway. We actually have a sit-down dinner coming up that we booked for an early time.
Now you tell me.
Now I'm telling you. But we have time for one more attraction before we have to get to our reservation. So are we going to go and do Spaceship Earth at the front of the park? Or are we going to go back and finish off the land and do Living with the Land?
You're not going to tell me where the reservation is, are you?
Not yet.
Oh. Well, since we're probably going to end up going back to International Gateway, I'm going to go with the guarantee again and say we're going all the way to Spaceship Earth to make sure that we do get on Spaceship Earth. I love Living with the Land, and however, if I had to miss one of the two, it's going to be Land. I'm going to do Spaceship Earth as the guarantee.
That's fair. And because we came in by Skyliner and will probably leave by Skyliner, Spaceship Earth isn't the guarantee on the way out like it usually is.
Exactly, and that's why I stated it that way. So if we had taken monorail, a bus, or driven, I would have said the Land, but in this case, since we did come in Skyliner, I want that guarantee of Spaceship Earth.
It is the must-do, for sure, for us. Okay, so we go and we do Spaceship Earth. We're all the way at the front of the park. Now it's time for our sit-down reservation. We're getting an early dinner, and we have a reservation at Space 220.
Ooh.
Or we got a reservation at Monsieur Paul's. Where are we eating our sit-down meal?
Both are going to be a very pretty penny, an arm, and the prosthetic leg that Rocket has from the first movie. Those are both
which has a whole new meaning now that we've seen the third movie.
Oh
by
my gosh!
the way,
If you haven't seen the third film, go see it. But I'm
no
not going to give it away.
spoilers. But holy moly, looking back at that first film and the prosthetics, and now looking at the third film,
yeah,
bring on the tissues.
Yeah,
okay.
Made sense.
So
All
anyway.
right, so either Paul's or 220. I am actually going to take 220 in this case, since we're doing a sit down, even though it's a prixie-fixie, a price fixed menu, and which I have stated I do not appreciate. The food course at 220 is going to be less time consuming. So we've been watching vlogs for people that have gone to both, and the time consumption that it takes for Paul's is up to 4 hours. Meaning, even if we have an early reservation, it's probably the last thing we're going to end up doing. And it's on the far side of the park. I'm going to pick Space 220. We can be in and out in a couple hours. The courses still take a little time because they're guaranteed courses. But again, that's going to put us between their International Gateway and the Land Pavilion and a few things we've already said that we'd like to go back and do.
Very nice. So even knowing that we were a little disappointed with our food quality at Space 220 when we tried it out, we would be willing to go back and give it another try.
Yeah, there's enough left on the menu that we didn't try. And again, we were in the lounge, not in the restaurant. But a lot of the appetizers are available in the lounge. I would say that we would probably end up doing 220 dinner as a second chance for the restaurant, in our opinion. And
possibly a last chance.
Maybe a last chance. We'll see. And I'd say, actually, in reality, that's probably one we would do before we would do Paul's.
I agree. And another thing to note about Monsieur Paul's, they do have wine pairings that you can do that they do with each course, which adds another $100 to your bill. It is prefixed like Space 220 is, so they're both a prefix menu. But they also have a dress code. So in all reality, if we were actually planning to do a dinner at Monsieur Paul's, we would have had to have come dressed for it or plan to go back to the hotel and change or clean up a little bit before heading back to do that. So we have done an early dinner at Space 220. I'm going to say that was probably around 4. So now it's going to be around 5:30. Are we going to go ahead and go across and finish up the land? Or are we going to go to Figment?
We're doing the land. I want the guarantee, and for me, Imagination in the original version was a had to. You cannot miss attraction. In the second version, it was a no way. And in the current version, it's like, yeah, okay, we got time. Meaning, I'm going to go do Living with the Land every time, because that, in my book, is one I do not want to miss. Whereas Imagination, we've actually bypassed once or twice simply because we ran out of time and went, we'll get farted on the next trip.
You know, it's interesting. When we went with Catherine, I'd always considered Figment a must-do. And that is pure nostalgia from those early days when it was such a cute attraction. But when we went with Catherine for her first time, and we were running out of time because we, at the last minute, decided to park hop, we quickly found out it was not a must-do anymore. we left it off the list for her completely because she has no ties to Figment, doesn't know what a Figment is. And
it's 2 tiny wings,
and
eyes big and yellow, horns of a stare, but a lovable fellow.
So that was a little eye-opening for me because I had always thought of it as a must-do, and it's not.
It was sad for me, too, and that's about the same time that I realized it's not on my must-do list anymore, and I mourn that. Because I love that attraction, but every time I go on it, it makes me a little mad when that last, it's a blast, and hits you with air like you're in a fun house. It just pains me what happened to that grand attraction.
And it really was. It was like the flagship ride.
The only character in the entire park was Figment.
Yeah.
And so that was Epcot to a kid.
Oh, for sure, which is how we experienced it that first time. So, yeah that was really sad. Okay. On a brighter note, we have done Living with the Land. We are happy we had the Disney water smell. And now we are exiting the land. We are bypassing Figment. Are we going to shop in the shops and take the boat across? Or are we going to shop at Canada in the little bear shop up there and continue on around the countries?
You're being mean now.
I'm going to force you to shop one way or another.
I love going to the Canada shops, but we haven't done Mitsukoshi yet, which means
we bypassed it.
Yeah, if that means we're taking the boat over to Morocco so that we can go to Mitsukoshi and bypass the stores of Canada, take us to the Ginza. We're going to Mitsukoshi.
Okay, so here we go across the lake on the boat. We are going to rest our feet a little bit because boat.
Yes, my feet just said, "Aww."
If you've never taken the boat, I highly recommend it. It's not just a way to rest your feet. It's really a nice way to just relax.
Yeah, it's about a 10-minute ride between Morocco and the entrance of the World Showcase, so by Canada. It runs about every 20 minutes, depending on if they're running 1 or 2 or 3 boats. And it's a good way to just get off your feet and get out on the water.
You get a really nice breeze, even if there's a really hot day. You still get a breeze off the water, which is really nice. And don't be fooled into thinking this is a quicker option to get across. It is definitely not. Just think of it as another attraction.
But it is also available to people that are mobility impaired. So if you're in a wheelchair or have a walker, a cane, don't shy away from the boats. You can actually go right onto the boat and right off the boat very easily.
We will go ahead and stop in Mitsukoshi for you because this is a perfect day. And
yes, because you hate Mitsukoshi.
Well, shopping and all that.
Yes, we love Mitsukoshi.
You'll notice I did bypass Creations.
Oh, yeah.
So there is that.
Weird.
I know. It's funny. Creations has been so hit or miss. It's a big store. It's the biggest store at Epcot. And yet, there doesn't seem to be a lot of merchandise available.
Yeah, I miss Mouse Gear.
I do too.
Which is really weird. I mean, or Centaurium even. The Centaurium, which was 2 levels, was fantastic back in the 80s and 90s.
That was awesome. But for all the stuff that they have, they don't seem to have very much. It's very strange.
Well, I know this is supposed to be a more modern look, but to me, it looks like a shopping mall store.
I think that's actually what they were going for.
This is the new Epcot flagship store, and I'm sorry, every time I walk in there, I feel like it's just a letdown as far as the atmosphere goes.
All right, so we end up back over by Morocco and Japan, where the boat is going to disembark. So we go in and we do a little shopping, we get a little more AC, and then on our way out, we're ready for a little snack. So we are going to, option 1, stop outside Japan and get kakigori.
Ooh.
Or option 2, go back towards France and get one of the wine slushies.
Oh, that's hard. So if you're not aware, kakigori is basically shave ice. It is in many different flavors, including some unique ones like cantaloupe. And
the melon is so good.
Yeah, it's so yummy. But the wine slushies, based on what we've been talking about so far, we haven't done a lot of drinking around the world yet.
We haven't done any.
And I'm a sucker for the wine slushies. I'm going to say we're headed to France to get wine slushies.
Nice choice. They are delicious every time. There are some standard flavors, and they usually have some festival flavors at the festival kiosk as well. So you cannot go wrong with that. And it's a great Instagrammable moment because the glasses are really cute. They're plastic, they're disposable, but they're very, very cute. So good choice there. And then we are kind of coming toward dinner time, but we've already had an early dinner. So we've done most of the things that we enjoy doing in the park on a perfect day. So now is the time. Are we going to park hop, or are we going to stay and finish out the full day at Epcot?
I hate not making it around to UK and Canada. However, if we're not headed out to get fish and chips or something at UK, park hop me. We're headed back, and I'm going to suggest we're park hopping. You didn't give me the option to wear yet, so I'm assuming that's coming.
I have not.
Okay, so we're going to park hop.
We're going to park hop. Okay, so we're right here by the Skyliner. Skyliner will take us to Studios if we want to park hop to Studios, or we can go back to the front of the park and hop on a bus or the monorail if we want to do park hopping to Magic Kingdom. Now keep in mind, it is a Saturday, and we are there during a festival time.
That's going to be hard. I'm going to say if we, this is an if, but if we are park hopping, we're probably also going to be looking at the lightning lanes that are available.
True.
And lightning lanes for Studios tend to sell out quicker than they do for Magic Kingdom attractions, because Magic Kingdom has more attractions that have the lightning lane available, and also higher capacity attractions.
Excellent point.
So in this case, I'm going to actually say we're headed to the Magic Kingdom.
I am surprised.
And the reason being is because most of the time in the evenings, we can still get lightning lanes for Pirates, Mansion,
sometimes
maybe,
even Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, Pooh or
Ariel.
Ones that we would want to hit. And occasionally one will even pop in for something like Jungle Cruise that might have been gone for a while. Because same thing, people were going to stick around, but they park hop somewhere else or had a dinner reservation open up, and so they dropped those reservations last moment, and you're able to pick them up. So because there's probably going to be more available, I'm going to say we're headed to Magic Kingdom.
Nice. A very good choice. All right, so we are on our way over there. We decide to check the app on our way over while we're on the Skyliner. So we can get a lightning lane for right now for Haunted Mansion, or we can get a lightning lane for an hour from now for Jungle Cruise.
Oh, that's... I'm going to suggest that we get the hour from now Jungle Cruise. And it goes right back to what I said the entire time, the guarantee. Jungle is harder to get, and will generally actually be out of lightning lanes earlier than Mansion. And to be honest, Mansion's one of those ones that during the fireworks, I'm not missing Happily Ever After. But maybe just after fireworks can get on with a quick queue, just walking straight in.
Very true.
Mansion is a people eater.
Yes.
And will actually be one of the highest capacity attractions in the park. So I would say for this scenario, we're doing the Jungle Cruise.
And you know what? There's another pro tip for you. Jungle Cruise does tend to sell out early. It is a great one to snag early if you're starting your day at Magic Kingdom.
Or rope drop.
Or rope drop it. Yes, especially if you are staying on park and get early park hours. The other thing is what Rod was saying about fireworks. If you have seen them before, if you have someone with you who has some sensory issues and doesn't want to watch the fireworks, it's a great, great time to get on some of the other rides, especially Fantasyland. So we're just going to end our day at Magic Kingdom then. We went and we got spring rolls for dinner.
Oh, yay!
As our very, very last thing, we are going to be able to get one last ride in. Are we going to go to Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh? Or are we going to go Under the Sea with Ariel?
Oh, we're going Under the Sea with Ariel.
Oh, I'm surprised.
I love both attractions, but I have a special place in my heart for the Ariel attraction because Andy helped do the one in California.
Yes.
And my good friend Phyllis also worked the one in California at DCA. So that's it. We're doing Ariel last.
We're doing Ariel, and then we are going to catch the fireworks. That's not even an option because Happily Ever After is back, and we are so happy. So not only are we ending our day with fireworks, let's just say we're ending it with the dessert party.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the dessert party. You've heard us talk about this on the Splurges podcast. It is worth the $114 to sit there and watch the fireworks and be catered to before and afterwards, and not have to stand toe to toe, heel to heel, shoulder to shoulder in front of the castle to see the show.
And that is 100% true. So that's how we're going to end our day. That was our perfect day at Epcot and, as it turns out, Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, let us know if you've got other options that you think we should try. We will be doing other versions of this and that as we go along in the near future. You'll hear us talk about other parks. We're going to talk about resorts. We're even going to talk about Disney Springs.
Ooh.
Before we go, I'd like to give a big shout out to our friend Andy at the Palm Springs Linguist for his support and advice. You can find Andy Apodaca's Disney and Linguist-based vlog on YouTube. The Epcotian Adventure is a $1,000 brunch production. A big thanks to our social media coordinator, Riley Piper, audio engineers Joey Humphrey and Paul Trett, and logo designer Evan Piper. Our theme music is by Jason Patrick Rowan and is licensed through Pond 5.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. It really does help people find us.
Thanks for joining us today for episode 18 of the Epcotian Adventure. I'm Rod.
And I'm Sue.
And we'll see you in line.
Bye.
And we're going to ride El Rio del Tiempo. Oh, wait, no.
La 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 la.
Yeah, that's
la, 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 la.
gone. We're going to ride the Donald and Three Amigos. No. What is... What is that ride?
So close. They are infamous. It's the Three Caballeros.
Okay, let me...
El
Here we go. Hold
Guapo.
on. Uno más tiempo. Pause.
Sorry.
Pause.
It is E. I don't even know what sound that was.
E.
No Cape started.
Wee.